So sometimes you need access to the people that do this stuff all the time. We don't need somebody to teach us how to use a string trimmer necessarily, but if he could look at my numbers, if he could show you some examples and you say, oh, that's me. He needs to do this to fix his business.
Today, I'm chatting with Jason Creel from the Lawn Care Life in good old Trussville, Alabama. He hosts the Lawn Care Life Conference, and he also runs a fertilization and weed control business. Been on the show many times. Without further ado, welcome back to the program, Jason Creel. What's up, Jason?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Paul. I didn't know what on good terms or not. It's been a while since I've been on here, but I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, it's always good to catch up with you. What have you been up to this summer? I know you were out there in Colorado Rockies land. How did that go?
Yeah, we did. Took a family vacation to Colorado. I went on the Milwaukee tour, invited some people up. I got invited to that, so I got to go to Wisconsin. It was much cooler there than Alabama. But other than that, just been home, spending time with family, and then running my weed control and fertilization business takes up a good bit of my time as well.
With that Fert and Squirt business, how many apps do you guys do in a year, and where are you currently at on the program?
We mostly do. I say we makes it sound bigger. I work by myself, but I've downsized a couple of times. But I do 7 applications. Some companies around here do 8. I would say 8's probably the most common. And just for those of you who don't know, we deal with warm season grasses here in Alabama, so it's mostly Bermuda and zoysia. I do have some centipede, some St. Augustine. I do 6 applications on those, but 7 on my Bermuda and zoysia. I am about to start application number 5.
Fantastic. We just have been doing a campaign for Enview, promoting their products on our program. So you ever use
I think I heard that. Yeah, I'm a big Enview was what was once known as Bayer, and they're now, I think Bayer still exists, but maybe their chemical side for lawn care broke off and called it Enview now or something. So I use a lot of their products. So reputable company for sure.
Yeah. Now, Jason hosts the Lawn Care Life Conference with his wife, Tracy, at Tracy's family property there. And we already have the program available online now, and tickets have been selling kind of like hotcakes, man. I've been excited to see people already signing up for it. But why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what's in the mix for the 2025 Lawn Care Life Conference?
Yeah, so people that don't know, I've done a conference this past year, or actually 2024 was the 4th time I've done it. And I don't say 4th annual because I think I did it. It was 2017, then fall of 2017, fall of 2018, January of 2020 just for COVID, and then brought it back February of 2024. And now we're on set for February 2025. And I do think, I know people say this and it just sounds cliche, but I think we've been able to make it bigger and better every time. That's based on my estimation. I know you're always going to get people that want it to be smaller and more quaint. And last year we did grow in size, but I think we were able to deliver. And I feel strong about this year, Paul. And Paul is helping me promote the event and things of that nature. And it's been there the last couple of times too, so that's great. But the main thing we're doing different this year, for people that's been to it before, we want to get people excited. We want to get these YouTuber kind of people in there that people want to hang out with. But I said, I don't want it just to be that. Like, I want to be able to deliver more valuable information. Not that what they say is not valuable, but we wanted to bring in some people that just a little bit different type, something different offer than maybe what other people are offering. We got a guy who's essentially a financial business coach, I would say, would be his expertise. So we're bringing him in. Andy Mulder's another guy we're bringing in, which I know he has somewhat of a social media following, but he's legitimately grown a huge business and done it to be very profitable. Of course, Paul and I will be there. Alan Hayden, Lawn Care does. So anyway, just trying to add more content that is, I think we're advertising this year as the most actionable event that you'll been to in the lawn care. So what do we mean by that is that you're going to walk away knowing action steps. What do I actually need to do? Hopefully, particularly on the business side of things.
Yeah. Brandon Gray is the fellow that's going to be teaching us for most of the day on Friday, and he sent over a while ago the kind of syllabus or outline of what he's going to be discussing, how you get your customer, ideal customer, how you basically calculate when you should hire an employee, when you're doing marketing, how do you measure if it's profitable or not? And then a lot of the number type stuff of how to read these reports. And then, we can basically ask him any question we have about finances, about accounting, things of that nature. And he is a very, very smart. His Greg Crabtree, who he works with, wrote a book called Simple Numbers, Big Profits. And you had a chance to recently read it or listen to the audiobook, Jason?
Yeah, I can read, Paul, but I mostly listen to stuff nowadays. So I did listen to it. And I think Paul, you talk to people all the time that are successful in business. The one thing, and I'm not saying I'm an example of this, but I think you'll find that the people that are truly successful, a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times it's more of a formula and a math problem than like a emotional reaction, so they just have the data, and here's when you hit this point, you need to do this, and it's just a logical equation. So that's the kind of guy we're bringing in who can not just kind of think, I did this and it just accidentally blew up and went crazy, but it's more of a rigid approach. He's very approachable. I mean, the guy's an expert. They go speaking all over the place. Extremely reputable guy that we're bringing in. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that as well. It's just bringing the website up on it. It looks really good. The new Lawn Care Life website, but something new you're doing this year. I got it pulled up right now on the screen. Hopefully the video editor put it on there for everyone watching on YouTube. But we're doing a VIP day for Friday. During the day, we're going to be, opening up the room, and Brandon's going to be teaching all day, and we're going to be able to, ask him questions, have a bunch of different sessions, have lunch. Tell us a little bit more about the VIP experience and how that's going to make this year's show bigger and better.
Yeah, every year I send out like a post-event survey, or at least I have the last few years, and a lot of great feedback. But sometimes you get people say, "Well, we drove all the way from who knows where, 15 hours to be there, and they want it to be longer." And other people may not want it to be longer. But so the VIP gives you opportunity to one, make it longer, and then two, for those that want to choose that option, you don't have to buy the VIP. But for those that do, it's longer. But the main thing is you get a little bit more intimate environment where it's with the Brandon Gray, with the expert guy. So I think that's the main difference in it. And again, we're still building out the package, but it's going to be a 3-hour intensive in a smaller group where you can sit there and listen to him teach you specific things. So for me, Paul, and you can speak in this if you want to, but a lot of times business people, and this is what I've come to understand, like it's about ROI, and so for them, if they think, wow, if this guy can help move the needle for me, then it's a no-brainer. That's kind of what we're getting at, is instead of having a speaker up front, we're going to do that too, in a more intimate environment, have access to this kind of expert.
Yeah, I'm on your website right now, Jason, and here's Brandon's bio, if you will. Brandon Gray is a lead profitability consultant at CRI Simple Numbers. He works with clients on consulting arrangements, including cash flow modeling, profitability analysis, and leading their CRI Simple Numbers signature planning sessions. And so he's going to be covering all of that at the event, analyzing how profitable are we now, how can we be more profitable, planning ahead for the future. And then the VIP experience will be more intimate. So if you have a specific question about your business, whether you should hire that new employee, buy that new mower or skid steer or sprayer, or do that marketing campaign, or whatever your question is, I mean, you could ask somebody who crunches the numbers for a living. I believe he has an MBA as well, Master in Business.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I've noticed too, Paul, is like when people are buying tickets, the vast majority of the tickets we've sold have been the VIP option. So it tells me, based on the feedback, because I didn't know what ticket they're going to buy, but it seems like the feedback is, hey, that's what we want. We want the more access to the expert. So that's good. That's a positive sign for event planning. Lets us know kind of what to do in the future. And I think, again, I feel sometimes it's not, we deliver so much value, but a certain amount. But if you can bring in the expert to kind of bring the level of content up a notch, I think it's worth doing.
Yeah. And ears have heard over the years this phrase, Jason, know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers. And we all say it, but if you ask somebody like, well, what does that mean to know your numbers? We could probably like share what that means to us, but not in the most simplified way. And Brandon's going to be able to really unpack, you're a business owner. Here's what you should be paying attention to. Here's the numbers you should know. Like he's going to be able to just get to the meat and potatoes of what it means to know your numbers. And, I think Andy Mulder, you, myself, everyone else who attends, we're going to leave there with even more clarity on the financial fundamentals of our business and have a better plan for the future. Because at the end of the day, business is about profit. If you're out there spraying your yards all day and you're not profitable, you might as well have went bowling and eating ice cream, Jason.
I enjoy both of those, but I will say this, Paul. The one thing I remember, I was listening to your podcast. I'm not a daily listener, but sometimes I'll catch up on some episodes. And this is not a plug for Paul's letter, but I heard the ad about your rate increase letter, and the guy said his dad or something hadn't raised prices in 26 years or something crazy, right. And he sent it out, and he got an extra $200,000 in the first year and only lost like 8 customers. So I forget exactly. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
anyway, yeah. It was crazy. And I think that's what, even looking back at my business where my numbers are nowhere near like that, I just look at it like, man, how much money did I cost myself? And not because I'm an idiot. You just don't know what you don't know. And so sometimes you need access to the people that do this stuff all the time. We don't need somebody to teach us how to use a string trimmer necessarily, but I need the guy that's the business whiz. And if he could look at my numbers, and I don't know what kind of, if we're going to have that kind of access, but if he could show you some examples and you say, oh, that's me. He's talking about me. And he's like, this dude is going backwards. He needs to do this to fix his business. And that's what I'm with you. Like, I don't want to hear know your numbers again, unless somebody's like literally going to show me how to do it. I'm tired of phrases and stuff and just make me feel better. Don't tell me know your numbers unless you're going to show me exactly what you mean by that and how to do it.
Brandon Gray will definitely do that. And then from a kind of boots on the ground perspective, Andy Mulder, he's going to be one of our speakers as well. And he built his business debt free. And Jason, he called Dave Ramsey and said, I got $1 million saved up in a savings account. It's just sitting there. Do you have any recommendation of how I can best, maximize that $1 million rather than it just sitting in a savings account? What should I do with it? And Dave Ramsey was like, you are a stud. And then he gave him some advice about possibly purchasing a shop, buying it in cash and then kind of having that as a headquarters. So Andy will have more real estate and, also be growing his business. But Andy's very, very smart and he's going to be there teaching us as well. And then Alan's a hoot and he'll be there as well. So I'm really excited, Jason.
Yeah, I'm amazed at the quality of the people we're able to bring in. So I'm excited about Andy because I don't really know him very well, but I know of what he's done in his business, and he's very hands-on. Some people want to be hands-on in their business. Some people want to kind of grow it and just manage it. I think Andy does both of those. So that'll appeal to people. And then Alan, a genius marketer. I mean, he's just successful at seemingly whatever he does. So Andy's very knowledgeable when it comes to lawn care. So I don't know. I'm feeling great about it. And, it's always, the feedback's great. Family's atmosphere. People don't know it's we're near Birmingham, Alabama. So we do it late February. Usually late February is pretty nice weather. I mean, it was great this past time. No, you never know. I mean, it could rain, it could be cold, but typically that is a very, very nice time of year, especially if you're coming from up north and you want a break from the cold.
Yeah. It's February 21 through 22 of 2025 at Jason's family's property there, Matthews Manor. The tickets, you can get them now. They'll be in the show description, in the show notes, and I would recommend getting the VIP ticket so you can join Jason and I, and most importantly, Brandon Gray on that Friday to really unpack what it means to know your numbers and to get your financial plan in order. And then we'll have dinner in I don't know if your DJ buddy's coming back again for Friday night. We'll have a little party on Friday night and then regather Saturday and then be there basically all day Saturday. So get your tickets now though. I'm pretty optimistic this one will sell out, Jason, pretty quickly. And then that will be that. So
Paul, give me a rundown on how Florida's going if you're allowed to do that on here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved to Florida in the middle of June. I was torn, Jason, between downtown Tampa, and downtown Sarasota. So I came to downtown Sarasota. I was very safe here. I'm basically 0.9 miles from the water. So if I want to walk down to the Sarasota Bay where all the yachts are and everything, it's about a mile walk. And then there's a bridge that goes over the bay, which is basically, it's a beach. It's called Lido Key. And then you got the Gulf of Mexico there and the beautiful white sandy beaches and light blue sea. And it looks like a magazine. It's just stunningly beautiful. And then I found a spot. I'm not even going to tell you guys where it is because I don't want anybody to know my spot. But I found another spot that there's only 4 parking spots. And you can publicly park there, Jason, but it's all like residential homes. I was looking on Zillow. It's 15 million. One of them was just 17 million for the lot. And there's not even a house on it. It's just a lot. And then it's like 12 million, 15 million. And it's just all these $10 million plus homes are on this beach. And so, but there's no, like, unless you live in those houses, but the people that live in those houses are older and they're not out. So anyway, I found there's 4 parking spots and I figured out time to go and I get one of the parking spots and I just walk on out to the beach and it's like I have this beach to myself and I'm just praying and walking down the beach and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm glad I found that parking spot and my secret little basically beach until I can afford the $15 million house.
So no regrets so far on the move down there?
Well, it's tough to tell. I truly considered moving to Trussville, Alabama. My friend David Stein, I used to work at a Christian radio station and he worked there and he met the most beautiful woman, Leanna, from Alabama. She's just a beautiful Christian, wholesome woman, just everything he was looking for in a Christian wife. And it was actually, it's a true story. Dabo Sweeney, who coaches the Clemson Tigers, David used to do radio for Clemson and he's talking to Dabo and David was single and Dabo's like, you got to go to Alabama, David, go to Alabama and get you a woman. And and Dabo Sweeney literally told him that. And then lo and behold, he met his wife and she's the people in Alabama. I'm not saying everybody there fears the Lord and is wholesome. More often than not, Alabama produces some good charactered people. So I was torn to move there. A lot of my family lives in Charleston, South Carolina. I was torn to move there. So it's kind of like the grass is always greener on the other side. It was like, well, what would have happened if I moved to Alabama or South Carolina? But so far, it's been good. Brett Goodyear and I went golfing. I go walk on the beach almost every day. And so far, so good.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, Dabo is from the Birmingham area, I believe. Positive he is. I know somebody went to high school with, and then he played football at Alabama before on the national championship team. And I know it's harder. Which national championship team is what you're saying?
All right.
One of the many, but then he can coach it. Clemson and now Alabama people don't really want him back because of some of the stuff he does. But I think he's a nice guy.
Totally. Well, I want to ask you a couple other business questions if you're cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I recently had a fellow on the program yesterday. I interviewed him. He does $2.5 million a year. He's got, all kind of employees. He's very profitable. And he's got his business, down to a science. But you've chosen the route of just going solo and you have 4 kids and it seems like you're actively involved in their gymnastics and soccer and, you and Tracy seem to like each other and you got this more, it seems like you have more freedom and peace than some of these other guys I talk to that have the, millions of dollars of revenue or tens of millions of dollars of revenue. So what has been kind of your experience of setting up, being kind of solo and proud and profitable and a family man?
Yeah, that's a good question. Something I gave a lot of thought to, and I don't think I came to the answer quickly. And I'll give you an update, Paul. I have 3 daughters, but 2 of them did gymnastics. Both of them quit this past year, which secretly I was just inwardly rejoicing over that. So that was a pay raise in itself because gymnastics is expensive, but and very time consuming. So anyway, yeah, for me, I think a lot of it goes like your personality, like what do you like doing? Some people want to grow something big. And they don't mind the chaos. I personally don't like that. I guess you'd call me a little bit of a micromanager. I'm not trying to be, but I'll just own it at this point in my life. And I don't mind being out in the field doing the work either. I kind of enjoy that. And I do like social media, YouTube stuff. And so that takes up a good bit of my time. So kind of the route I chose a few years ago was, after being in business for a while, I've had employees and things of that nature, but I downsized my business so that I could spend more time doing the social media stuff and also be with my family. So the way it's structured right now, I've got like 300 something yards, which maybe sounds like a lot, but for weed control and fertilization, it's really not that much at all. And I feel like I've got a very profitable 300 something yards, maybe with a few exceptions in there, and a extremely tight route. You know, we talk about the route density. I've got that down. Okay. So I can do 20, 25 yards a day, sometimes 30, sometimes more than 30. Now that's weed control, not mowing grass, but it allows me to finish 300 something yards within 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, and to be more present with my family. It allows me time to do social media and some of the other stuff that I was doing, which is kind of a separate business in its own right. So it was just more about like, that was what I was comfortable with. I don't want to be a full-time YouTuber necessarily. I also get tired of spraying yards all the time. I didn't want to grow a big business, you know, so that was the decision I made. But with that, I'll say this, Paul, and this is kind of the missing piece I think some people have, and they need to answer this question. And I think the Brandon Gray guy, I'd like to pick his brain about it, because I think you do need an exit strategy. Okay. So if you say, well, I don't want to grow a big business, you know, I'm just going to work by myself and just make enough money to get a Big Mac once a week, you know, that's not a good plan, you know. So for me, if you're not going to grow a big business, which could be in weed control and fertilization, my understanding is, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but when you get to like $1 million a year in revenue, your business might be worth $1 million. You know, if you get $2 million in revenue, it's worth $2 million, something along that lines. But if you got a small business that you run by yourself, your business is really not worth that much. I mean, it's worth something, obviously, but it's not worth some crazy multiple. So understanding that, I had to like, well, what's my exit strategy? I mean, it can't be make a decent living for the next 30 years and then quit. You know, that's not a good exit strategy. So I've had to think through that. And for me, it became, okay, we're making more money than I need, obviously, to live off of, because things are going well. Things are going well on my social media side. So what do I do with that? So I basically had to become a self-retire. And again, Paul and I talk about this sometimes. I'm not looking like sit on the beach for the last 30 years of my life. I want to be doing something. I don't necessarily want to be spraying yards when I'm 80. So for me, I had to aggressively investing in conservative mutual funds and trying to build a nest egg. And it's going well. And I wish I would have done it, you know, more aggressively earlier on. But thankfully, there's enough money coming in that where interest calculators play out like I hope they will, I think I'm going to be okay. So that was the adjustment I had to make that fit with my personality.
Yeah, I remember in high school, we had Jim Rose was his name. I remember the class, and he taught us about compound interest, and it went in this year and it went out that year. And he said, save $100, start today, save $100 every month, you'll be a millionaire. And he broke it all down. And it's like, now I look back, I was like, he was right.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I didn't listen to him. So you young 18, 20, 25, 30-year-olds listening to Jason and I, we both actively invest now. Like, you know, I'm into it as well, Jason, like pinching every penny of my lifestyle down so I can invest in something that's, you know, growing compound interest and all that. But what we don't have is we can't go back into our 20s and 30s and get started earlier. So I hope you guys heard what Jason just said. And to mention the retirement thing, because I was in an argument with my little brother, not argument, but he's a financial planner, certified financial planner. So for a living, he helped people retire. And I said, Robbie, I said, I know that's your goal, but I was like, just help them have like a financial goal. Like, I want to have a net worth of 2 million or 3 million or 4 million or 10 million or whatever it is by this age, but their goal shouldn't be by that age to retire. Because when you're 65 and you just stop working, you're kind of taking yourself out of your purpose and assignment. But anyway, I just wanted to say to my audience who's listening to me, just get on my soapbox for a minute. By all means, have a goal. By age 60 or 65 or 70, you want to have this financial, you know, number nest egg. That's great. But just don't stop working and serving?
One thing I did, Paul, that if someone's in my situation, okay, one thing I did, I wish I'd have done it sooner, but if you decide to be solo or maybe just have one or two employees, you might look into a SEP IRA, SEP IRA. So, a lot of people heard of a traditional IRA and Roth IRA. The SEP IRA is for people like me, and I can invest like a percentage of my income into the SEP IRA, which is significantly more than I could put in a Roth IRA or traditional IRA. So, I can write it off on my taxes this year. And but the catch is, if you have employees, you have to match whatever you're putting in for yourself to your employees. Now, that would be a great thing to do, but for me, it's almost perfect because I don't have any employees. So if I put, tens of thousands of dollars a year in this IRA, then that's far more than I would have to put in a traditional IRA or Roth IRA. And I don't have any employees that I have to match that for. And it offsets my tax burden for this year. That was like a game changer this past year. I put a lot in there and my taxes were, even I made more money, I owed less in taxes, and I'm saving for the future. So I thought that was something people might want to look at.
And what's your advice to find? You mentioned this conservative mutual fund for somebody who's never invested, like they don't even know where to get started. Do you have a certified financial planner? Are you self-taught? Like what's your recommendation to someone listening? Like, I know I should probably get my retirement account going, but I don't even know where to start.
Yeah. And see, I think, Paul, these are such important discussions to have for people that are self-employed, because, if you're working for some big company, like my dad retired from AT&T, he's got a pension for the rest of his life. My father-in-law retired as a fireman. He's going to get a check the rest of his life. But for lawn care people, that's usually not the case. So you got to come up with a different strategy. For me, I don't have a financial planner, and I'm not one myself. I guess I should disclose that. So consult with a professional. But I did read a book, which is not exactly the same as getting a degree. The book was pretty helpful. So I invested on my own during, let's just say, 2009 to 2020 or so. Anyway, a long stretch there, but up until COVID, after the crash in like 2007, 8, 9, the market was just incredibly great up until COVID, basically. Well, somehow I managed to lose money in incredible bull market, maybe the best of our lifetime. Well, what I realized was I'm not good at picking stocks. I thought I was. I can pick stocks. I can be disciplined and hold on to them, and all. No, it's very hard. So I read this book called The Simple Path to Wealth, and I wouldn't agree with everything he says, but he basically says, stop picking individual stocks. I know you think you can do it, but it's much more difficult. And I do still do that to some degree, but the vast majority of my money I put in just a Vanguard mutual fund. And I find that and it's done great. But it's a deal is like, if you want to pick an individual stock, you got to try to figure out the time to buy it. And then you want to try to figure out the time to sell it. Cause well, they went up, but then I held on and it came back down, so there's always buying and selling. We're a mutual fund. There's no like buying and selling necessarily. I mean, you can, but you can just buy it and just leave it in there for a long time, because they're going to continue updating the companies that are in that mutual fund. It's not like all your eggs are in one basket on one company. So, I'm really invested in a lot of different companies that are going to be constantly managed. I have a financial person managing it. It's just not like my own personal guy, somebody at Vanguard. So that has been a game changer for me, not the high risk, high reward. And part of the reason I tried to do individual stocks and got in crypto and stuff, and I'm not anti any of that stuff, but I felt like I was starting too late. I was in a desperate situation. I had to try to be super risky. Well, that only cost me more money. So since I started looking at the investment calculators again, I was like, listen, you're not in a panic situation. You just need to put back X amount of dollars every month in this fund. Again, stock market crashes, that's not going to be good. But typically, even in a crash, which I think is considered like a 20% drop, even in that, usually within a year, it's back up to where it was again, even through, COVID and bad stock market crashes. Usually it recovers pretty quickly. So a lot of times you'll hear him say, just leave the money in there. And that's worked for me.
Yeah, totally. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 2 says, divide your portion to 7 or even to 8, for you do not know what misfortune may occur on the earth. Essentially talking about you don't want all your eggs in one basket, like Jason said. And with a mutual fund, I mean, there's other ones like index funds where you have the entire S&P 500, which is I believe the 500 largest companies in the United States, which fluctuates, but the Walmarts, the Amazons, and the Apples, and those are the ones at the big ones. But then around the 400 to 500 range, those ones are kind of coming and going. But it's like when you invest in scatter that investment across a diversification, it's definitely better than putting all your money into Enron, one stock. Some of you young kids don't remember Enron, but I think they were a Texas company that went out of business back when I was in high school. But this is good, Jason. I wish I would have heard you share all this stuff when I was young and dumb.
Well, I just try not to think too much about the bad decisions I made financially, but it really does cost you so much more money. And then you end up, because of that, you have to play catch up as you get older. But hey, that's okay. I don't sit there and live in the past. I think that was okay. I learned some lessons from it and keeps me, if I had too much money right now, I wouldn't trust myself with that either. So I think it's good. I'm young and healthy enough to stay working and stay motivated, and God's provided for us and my family, and we're going to keep working hard at it.
Are you guys still doing that Genesis Bible study on Thursdays?
No. Well, I was here visiting, I don't remember, it might have been a year ago or something, but no, we meet on Wednesday mornings. I actually met this morning, 6 a.m. I think we're in Luke right now, Paul. So okay. 6 a.m. Wednesday mornings. So it gets me up early on Wednesdays. That's for sure.
Nice. Well, is there anything that we're leaving out here that you want to address, or anything else you want to say about the VIP tickets and getting that set up?
I don't think so. I mean, I think, again, the conference has always been great, and I feel not anti bringing in YouTubers. I just wanted to bring in a guy that we thought was sure enough a professional, and just so happens this guy, and don't be insulted by this. This guy does live in Alabama. I know people think that's Intelligent Life doesn't live in Alabama, but that's actually not true. So we got a true expert that happened to be within driving distance, which was even better. But this guy, their company, they really are excellent, and they get invited to speak at big time events. Just so happens they live close enough to us, so better for me. But no, Paul, I don't have any too much else. I'm start back next week spraying yards. It's 97 degrees or something Monday, or 99, I forget. So you got to be a little careful how they're spraying in that. I might go half days. It might take me longer than 3 weeks, but I get out there in the morning and be careful with what I'm using, because you can turn some yards brown when it gets hot.
I have experience doing that, actually. So, there's something called Blindside. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, yeah. Anything that's got sulfentrazone in it, which is in Blindside, that's the dismissed active ingredient. It's likely to ding up a yard anyway. But yeah, if it's hot, it's even more so. So yeah, I am familiar with the brown spots that Blindside make. But Paul, one of the things about lawn care people, you get blamed anytime something's brown, they want to blame it on the lawn guy, and here it's been hot and dry and their yard turns brown, and they're like, what'd you spray? Say, that's when you water your grass. If it's 97 and it doesn't rain for 3 weeks, stuff will turn brown, so you got to water it.
Yeah. I had a customer who had doveweed, and I sprayed something and it didn't get rid of it. And he's really on me like, this looks horrible. I was like, I know. And then I get something called Blindside, and I spray it, and then it just killed the doveweed, but it killed the Bermuda, and then I had to resod the whole area. And so eventually I quit. This is not for me. And I hired a guy named Russell Skipper, and I threw in the towel.
Yeah. I wish I could have known you in your weed control adventures, because I think that would have been pretty entertaining.
Yeah, it cost me a lot, because I bought the Blindside, then I had to buy the sod, and then it didn't work out. But now I'm in a nice air conditioning studio podcasting, talking about investing in the S&P 500. So
there you go.
All right, Jason. Well, I appreciate it. Stick on the line. I'll get you a quick update off air. And if you guys listened all the way to the end, I hope that you will take what Jason said seriously, because I actually am obsessed with investing, and I look every day at my account, retirement account or whatever it's called, and I check on everything. And it's fun, because it's like those companies are going and working all day and they're making me money. And it's really awesome. But my only regret is that I didn't start in my, younger days. But you guys are listening to me are mostly young. So get started now and hire a good CFP, certified financial planner that can get you caught up with that. And then the VIP tickets are available. You can go get those in the show notes. Just click on the link and you can claim your VIP seat today for February 21 through 22 in Springville, Alabama. We'd love to have you there.